Hi everyone, welcome to your practice today. We're going to start today's practice lying on our backs. And for this practice, I would recommend that you grab a blanket, and if you have and want to use 2 blocks, you can totally do that. So let's make our way down onto our backs. And you can bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet nice and close to your glutes. And let's rest the hands on the deep low belly. Feel your back held by the floor, supported. From the right knee, from the center of the right knee, go down through the leg, through the center of the ankle, down through the heel. And just notice what that does to the rest of the body. And then from the center of the left knee, go down through the center of the shin, ankle, heel. Feeling your low back press into the floor. Widen and fill out. Feel the waves of breath moving from the center of you out into the edges. Through your contact with the hands, you can notice if your breathing is equal on both sides, if you fill out both sides evenly or not. Remain grounding into the left foot. Draw the right knee into the chest. Interlace the fingers on the front of the right shin. Allow the shoulders to drop. And I should also mention, if this is not feeling super cozy on the head, you can take your blanket or small cushion and just give yourself just a little bit of elevation behind the head or neck. Shoulders stay wide. Let the right hip crease deepen into the center of the hip. With every exhalation, and then release the front of the shin, hook behind the back of the thigh, and release the right heel to the ceiling. Extend the leg up, and then exhale, bend the knee in a hinge. And we're going to bend and extend through this right leg. And every time you extend that right leg, the action comes from the deep belly. So imagine that you're pressing the ceiling away, kicking the wall and then the ceiling away from the center of your belly. And this movement has a really nice even tone to it. Try to minimize any wobbling from side to side. Let's take that leg up one more time and hold. And if you like, you can extend that left heel forward towards the front of your mat. See if you can reach out a little bit more actively through the inside edges of your feet, pulling the outside edges of your feet back towards you. And then release the leg. You can take the elbows out to the sides, and you can have your hands flat to the floor. I really like to have my hands hovering a little bit with the palms of my hands sort of facing my ankle. Widen and ground through the backs of the armpits, and then we start to move that right leg out towards the right hand and then back to center. And when that leg comes back to center, you can actually come across the midline a little bit, just over towards the left, so that the right hip lifts off the floor. So it's kind of like we're drawing this beautiful arc of a rainbow on the ceiling. Once again, the movement is nice and smooth and even. We're lifting off that right side of the sacrum. And you can trace the action of that right foot with your eyes as it moves in that arc. So next time that right leg comes over to the right, we're going to hold. So you can bend your right elbow, place the palm of that right hand into the outer right knee. Or if the body allows, you can hook on to your right big toes with your right peace fingers. But I want you to make sure that the left side of the body remains weighted, because now our right side of the body, if we let it, our left hip is going to lift up. So remain really nice and grounded through that left side, and just test the edge of flexibility in that right hip and inner right thigh. See if you can stay balanced and even in the two sides of the torso. Settle the low ribs. And then release the foot or knee, come back through center. We're going to do the same thing to the other direction. So move that right leg all the way over to the left and just hover it a bit off the floor, and then back through center, over to the right a little bit, and then just as far over to the left as we roll onto that left hip as the body wants to go, without feeling any grindy tweaks in the low back. You can study the arc of the foot moving up and down in the air, towards the floor, and then back to the center. And really examine this by shifting the gravity of weight from one side of the pelvis to the other, rolling back and forth on the sacrum. It's almost like you have some sand in your pelvis that's slowly rolling to one side and then slowly draining back to the other. And the next time that right leg comes over, you can hold the inner knee with the left hand, just the same as you did before, or you can hold the inner foot with your left hand, but then push your right foot away towards the left upper corner of the room. Take the right hand over to the right. And although the foot is moving over towards the left, we want the weightiness of this right side of the hip to want to come down towards the floor, even though it's lifted. But we're maintaining that leg at about a 45-degree angle. And you can also hold the inner knee, like I mentioned, if you need to. Send the breath in waves through the leg. And then release that foot. Inhale back through center. And then bend that left knee again. Plant the sole of that left foot on the floor. You can plant the hands beside the hips or tuck your fingers underneath the lower ribs and then raise and lower that right leg up and down. So same as we did with the knee at the start, the movement is really minimizing the wobbling side to side. We're quite bright and active through both the back and front of the leg. I've really been enjoying this last year balancing both movement and stillness within my asana. When we really go deep into a practice, it's really fun to play with exchanging the two ends of concepts, finding a sense of stillness within movement and finding a sense of movement within stillness. Take that leg up one more time and then nice and slow lower that right leg down to the ground. Extend the left leg out beside you. Take the arms out. Big deep breath in. Exhale all the way to the end. I'm just noticing any changes that that little sequence has brought to that side of your body. Let's bend the knees again. We're going to do that whole thing on the other side. So this time, left knee comes up into and start to bend and straighten that left knee. Press down with the right foot. And remember, we are pushing the wall in front of us and the ceiling above us away from the center of the deep low belly. Keeping the knee boxed and quiet. Shoulders relaxed down and back. And then hold that leg up. Tug the back of that left hamstring away from you, pushing against the palms of your hands and fingers. And then extend that right leg forward in front of you. Brighten through the inner edges of your feet, and then release the arms, taking them out towards the sides. And then dropping that left leg out to the left, and then back to center, and maybe just crossing over to the right a little bit. Arc up and down. So try to keep that front body heavy and quiet while you move. Try to isolate this movement to exploring the range in your left hip. Think about that sense of sand in the pelvis rocking from one side to the other. And next time that left leg goes out towards the left, we're going to bend that left elbow a little bit more deep. center, and then we bring that left leg all the way over towards the right. Remember to stay grounded through the backs of the elbows, widen the armpits. Roll the heavy sand in the pelvis from left to right. Next time that left leg comes over to the right, you can stay, once again supporting the inner left knee with the right hand or holding the foot. But just remember that we're not trying to drop the foot towards the ground. We're trying to get a distance over enough so that we're feeling that counter, that left side of the hip wants to come back towards the floor, but the outer left foot and the inner left foot want to come towards that point where the ceiling and the wall meet on your right side. So supporting that seeking of flexibility with structure and strength. And then release the foot, bring it back through center as you breathe in, and then bend that right knee, plant the sole of the right foot onto the floor. Once more, hands can go beside the pelvis or grab the lower ribs, and then we lift and lower that right leg up and down. Heavy grounding through the sole of that right foot. Settle the front of the body down and back. And then exhale slowly. Release that left leg down, release the right leg. Arms come out to the sides. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale all the way to the end. Again, inhale. Exhale all the way to the end. And then bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet. Hands or elbows go down beside the lower ribs. You can remove that blanket if you had it behind the head. Fingers go up, and then weight through the feet as you breathe in. Lift the pelvis up, and then exhale, lower. Or we're going to keep going through this, lifting and lowering. You can link the movement with the breath or not. Now, we're not going to lift so high that we're feeling the twinge in the low back, but we are keeping the glutes activated, using them as they go up and down. And next time that pelvis goes up, we can hold and stay. We can stay just like this, or if you have the space and comfort to do so, you can walk your hands underneath to support the sacrum or the low back. And you can drag your pelvis forward, but your chest towards your chin. Remain grounding down through the left foot to widen right hip right. Down through the right foot to widen, left hip left. Exhale, slowly release the pelvis down. Release the arms, draw the knees in, the kneecaps, and then make circles with those knees. Keep your feet bent. Relax them so that the majority of this movement is on the bend and flat elbows. Study how the heads roll around the hip socket. Direction. And then feet come down through center. Let's extend the right arm over the head. Roll over to the right. And park those left fingertips just in front of you. Lie the head on that right bicep. Keep the low ribs back and see if you can even out the two sides of the torso. Breathing into that right side body. And then from this point, lift the head, bend the elbow, plant the right hand just on the right side of the head, and then bend that left knee, planting the sole of the foot just behind that right foot. And then we're going to straighten that right leg and hover. So it comes a little bit out to the right side. And the body isn't in a straight line. We're actually kind of at a 30-degree angle. And then we're going to lift and lower that right leg up and down towards the ceiling. So it's a lift from the arch of the foot. So that's what is lifting up and down. And if you feel you could incorporate some arm movement in that as well, we get the left arm going as well. So while that right leg lifts, the left elbow pulls back. And when the leg lowers, no, sorry, I got that turned around. So when the leg lifts, the arm extends, and when it lowers, the elbow pulls back. So we're trying to link this movement, cross-referencing the two sides of the body. And this arm kind of moves in a parallel line over the floor, extending and bending through the elbow, almost like you're sawing. And then let's settle back down onto the right side. Right knee is bent, and we're going to kind of tuck those right toes under onto the floor, lifting the heel. Left fingertips come down, and then we're going to lift and lower that left leg. So I like keeping a nice soft curve in my left knee. You can keep your leg a little bit straighter, but I find it's a little bit kinder on my joints to keep the knee bent. So even though some of our bones appear straight, the big theme in the body is roundness. How the joints connect into themselves, how we move, our cellular structure. It's round, it's circular. And let's release and try the other side. So you can just roll right over onto your left side. I'm just going to spin around so I'm not facing away from you. And then we're going to do that in the backwards order. So Left knee is bent. Tuck the left toes under so that the heel lifts. Right fingers are parked just in front of you, and then that right leg lifts and lowers. And you can follow the right foot with your gaze if you like. Let your eyes be soft and wide as that foot traverses through the air. And then plant the sole of that right foot down, and same thing as we did on the other side, the lifting and lowering of that left leg. Now we are really leaning back into our back body, so try not to let your front body pop out and forward in front of you, but lean your front body into your back body. And we're sort of can line, kicking that inner line of that left foot up towards the ceiling. And once more, we can incorporate the arm as well. So when the leg lifts, that right arm reaches forward, and when it lowers, the right elbow reaches back in this parallel action over the floor. One more, and release and lower. Roll onto your back, elbows out to the sides, fingers up, knees up. Now you can keep your knees hip distance, which is a little bit more challenging, or cement the inner lines of the legs and feet together. And we're rocking from side to side on the pelvis. And if we want a little bit more challenge and activity, when those knees come up over to one side, we're engaging the deep core so that the knees are coming up towards the armpit, and then the feet are moving away as they're coming back through center, and before they travel over to the other side, where they come up towards the other armpit, creating this smile on the back of the pelvis that we're tracing with a pattern of pressure, rolling back and forth. Contain your front body, pull it back and in. So this practice is actually really about regulating your attention and your energy. And something really awesome happens when you can keep your energy and attention collected in your body and not be in front of yourself all the time or behind yourself. Let's come back through center, interlace the hands behind the head, elbows up, and then knees and elbows together, and then away. So again, a little bit visually similar to crunches, but we're trying to emphasize more of a sense of the tailbone and crown coming away from, and then reaching towards each other. Relax the head, grab behind the legs, rock back and forth. If this doesn't feel good, you can just roll over to your side and come up to seated. And find your seat on your blanket. And you can grab your blocks to have on either side of you. So this next little part can be done from a couple ways, either having the simple crisscross of your ankles in front of you in easy pose, or for some of you, you might like to extend the left leg forward, stack your right knee over top in half Gomukhasana, and some of you might like full Gomukhasana, which is, again, really helpful with this blanket. And maybe you don't need the blocks. I really like having them, especially as my hips are a little stickier these days. So just find a good place for them to be and press down. Press down with a palm or your fingers or whatever is feeling good at the time. Shoulders down, pelvis down, balance two sides of the body. And then we start leaning over towards, let's lean over towards the right side. So you can slide that block out, or alternatively, a really nice thing to do is to take the block onto a comfortable height and rest your elbow on it as well. And then inhale your left hand up above the head and hold here for a few breaths. So fingers go up, left side of the pelvis goes down, chin turns in towards the left armpit, and just make sure that the clarity of that side bend of the spine is not kinking or doing anything uncomfortable as we bend towards the right. And then reach that left arm over your ear. If it's more comfortable for the head, you can definitely grab the underside of the head with your left hand. Try not to get scrunched up from your shoulders to your chin. Keep the two sides of your neck nice and long. Take that left arm over the head again, and then slowly bring it down to the floor in front of you. Walk both hands in front of you. Take an inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, hollow the deep belly as you fold over those legs. Inhale, rolling up. Exhale, lean back, widen your legs. Take an inhale. And some of you, if the inner thighs are tight, you might just want to sit tall with your fingers behind you. Some of you might want to come forward a little bit with your hands or down onto your elbows. And then press straight with the arms. Inhale, coming back. And then do the same thing on the other side. So either left leg crossed in front, half cow face with the left knee on top, or full Gomukhasana. It's your choice. It's your body's choice. Let's ask it. So first, resting down, pressed down through as many points of contact as you can find. And see if you can get a sense of even balance on the two sides. weight equally in left and right sides of your pelvis. And then bending over towards the left, only so far as the right hip doesn't start to lift. We want to make sure it's grounded, but just testing that edge of flexibility. Find a good place for your left hand or elbow, and then inhale, right hand straight up. And in these first few breaths, just notice that triangle of support. It's a little bit tippy. It's a tippy triangle. But see if you can still find the balance within grounding of the left elbow, the right hip, and the right hand going straight up. And then exhale, reach that right arm over the ear in front of you, hollow at the armpit. Spiral the head around the channel of the neck and tuck that chin in towards the armpit as you send that breath deep into that side body. Staying for 3. 2. And slowly exhale that right hand down towards the floor in front of you. Walk those hands forward. Equal on both sides. Take an inhale, lengthen, and exhale, hollow the front body. Use your hands to guide the pelvis back. So pressure through the right fingers, lines up through the fingers, through the center of the wrist, elbow, shoulder, across the body, ground through the left hip. And then from the left fingers up through the wrist, elbow, shoulder, across the body, and grounding right hip down. Heavy in the pelvis, inhale, rolling up. Exhale, lean back, unravel the legs. Once again, take them wide, and hands can be behind you if that's what feels best, or forward in front of you, folding forwards, any amount. Ground through the right elbow, widen left shoulder left, left elbow or hand to ground and widen right shoulder right. And then start to press the arms straight. Inhale, coming back. You can remove the blanket out from underneath you. And then hook on behind the knees, touch the toes to the floor, move the belly and thighs towards one another. You can hold here in the supported Navasana, or go to any version of Navasana that feels good for you. You can have your legs together. I like practicing these days with my legs apart. It's an extra challenge for me. Sink the front body back and in, and fully feel the strength of the back body support you. Let's go down halfway to Ardha Navasana, rolling over the sacrum for 5. Front body melting in. Inhale, back up, Navasana. Exhale, cross the ankles, roll over top to your knees. For sensitive kneed folks, you can take your blanket thinly underneath the knees. We're going to do a few variations of Camel Pose or Ustrasana before we close today. So I like to tuck my toes under, hands on the pelvis. And I'm going to bring my blocks just beside the outside edges of my 2 feet. And then, if it's possible, I'm going to reach down, put my fingers or hand on that block on the left. And if that's not available for you, you can support the left side of your low back with your left hand instead. And then pull the belly and ribs in, and just as we did before, inhale the right hand sort of back and over about 45 degrees. Press into the left hand and fingertips to start shining that left side of the chest forward and up. Some of you may release the head, but make sure that chin is tucked in towards that right armpit a little bit. Keep puffing up from behind the space behind your heart. But also keep that space behind your heart and between your shoulder blades full and wide. Try not to let it get too crunchy and collapsing in on itself. Exhale, release. Let's untuck the toes. Hands to knees, hollow the front body, wide in the back. Let's try that on the other side. So let's come back up. Release right hand to low back or right hand to block. Or you can do the foot if that's where you're at. And once more, inhale, extend that left arm. It's at about a 45-degree angle towards the back right corner of your mat. And we're seeing if we can keep, once again, the 2 sides of the pelvis wide. Start to puff up that right side of the really upper chest forward. Lift from between your shoulder blades, but also stay broad and wide. And once more, exhale, release, untuck your toes. Hold the knees, hollow the front, fill the back. And Ustrasana one more time. You can use your blocks, or if you want, you can also use your heels. And we're going to go Ustrasana straight down the middle this time. So start with hands on your low back. Take an inhale. Feel as if the center of your chest is moving up, 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 up towards the ceiling, and then drop back. Maybe dropping the head back if that feels good. Stay wide. Stay wide and full. Fill up from the inside. Stay broad between your shoulder blades. Inhale, unroll and unravel. You can remove the blanket, cup back. lie onto your belly. And we're going to use the blanket for this last posture to open the shoulders. So having the blanket just about head distance, just underneath the head like a pillow, excuse me, arms out towards the left side, roll onto the left side of our body. So either bending the knees or putting sole of the right foot onto the floor, right knee up towards the ceiling. We're going to end off a little bit more restorative today. I really like having this blanket underneath my head. Sorry, guys. It not only is more comfortable, but it is definitely more, it keeps my head and neck in line with the rest of the spine, so I can be patient and quiet and work with that inevitable grindiness in the fronts of my shoulders. From the very inside of you, send the breath out into that left side of your body. And then straighten the legs and let's roll over to the belly. Just move the blanket, turn the head over the right cheek and take a few breaths. Then we'll try your side. So just extend your right arm to the right. And first variation, we can have those knees coming up towards the stomach if that's what the body is allowing today. And for something a little bit deeper, plant the sole of the left foot down. You can even bring your left fingers behind you, but I really would encourage you to keep track of the front body. Make sure it's not getting away from you. Breathe from the inside. And then begin to straighten the legs. Roll onto your belly, remove the blanket, turn your left cheek to the floor, take a few breaths. And when the body is settled and released from that, you can roll onto your back and find your way to Shavasana. Since you have your blanket or small pillow handy, you can use it underneath your neck as a bolster. And as you're on your back, take a big deep inhale in. Hold at the peak. And exhale, let it go. And one more. Inhale, full and slow. And exhale. Bringing full deep breaths into your body. And making your way over to your side. And up to a seat. Pressing the hands to the center of the chest. Once more, press right hand into the left to widen left shoulder left. Left hand to the right to widen right shoulder right. Thank you very much for practicing today. See you soon.